Hey everybody, so I'm going to record another video going over our progress since the last video. I've had to do a lot of reworking of a lot of things, so on the surface it might not seem like we've achieved a whole lot compared to the last video, but the actual software is working pretty well so far, and it's holding up to a lot of things, so that's really promising. So I wanted to go ahead and give you a quick demo of how everything works again. So the first major change that I've made since the last video is I changed the user interface. So um, I got some harsh feedback that a lot of people weren't really enjoying the previous themes that much. So I added two more minimalist themes, Obsidian and Quartz. And it used to be Neon Dark in the last one, which I guess the themes are broken right now, so that's fun. It was working. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I haven't tested them in a little bit because I've been working on the new themes, which is fine. That's what everyone likes anyway. But anyway, the one with the neon lights behind it, I basically hid that behind these two, but I guess I'll have to fix it. So, before we start testing, I guess. But anyway, so I changed it. I also changed the website if you want to take a look here. So I changed the website. I got rid of the background. It looks very basic. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain this, but I just personally okay, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but I do just want to say it really sucks clawing back a lot of that personal aesthetic that I built into the software because I feel like I'm just really losing a huge part of my own soul here when it comes to this, like my own soul and identity. And that really sucks, especially compared to what the website used to look like before the change. In my opinion, it was so much prettier, but it's supposed to be a utility tool. People are supposed to take it seriously, so, whatever. If everyone wants boring dark mode software, sure. I guess that's what I'll give them, but anyway. So, anyways, yeah, I added some things to the website, and it shows screenshots now of the user interface, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, this user interface looks very ghostly here in the Obsidian theme. I kind of like it. This is actually out of date because this text is now white, and I think it looks a little bit better, but yeah. Anyway, no big deal. So I won't go over too much nitpicking. I just wanted to show you that. So that's the big elephant in the room. Where's all the neon lights, So there's that. So the next thing is I got the demo prospects working here. So oh, I know what I had. I'm so sorry. I got sidetracked. So I got the demo prospects working again. So let me show you that. So if we run that script, I can get these folders ready. So this is what it looks like when you select your root folders or drives, or if you select a Dropbox or whatever here. Either way, this is essentially what it's going to end up looking like. A little bit of a work in progress, but that's basically it. So it'll have you confirm everything, and then once you're ready to move on, then we'll start discovery, and we'll try to discover what's inside of those folders you selected. Now, this is a very specific test because what's actually going to happen is it's going to basically fail to find what's inside of the source folder. And so it'll give you an icon here that says failed. So from there, then you can select to retry the item, and you'll notice this button changed to retry discovery. And I just need to run that script again to restore access. I basically wrote a script that will deny permissions access to that folder, so it will purposefully fail it so that you can see what's going to happen here. So now, if we go ahead and click retry discovery, then it will retry it, and it should actually find it now. So you can see it there. So now, we just have to let it do its thing. Yep. Looks like it went through. Yep. Oh, also, I don't know if you noticed, maybe you did. I added a stop and resume button here. It disappears when it's done because you don't need to stop it if it's already done. Like there's nothing going on in the background. But I'll show you that when we go to the copy phase because it's there too. I forgot to mention that. So, but anyway, yeah, and it works. You can actually stop it and resume it. And it's not an instant stop because it's actually more of a graceful shutdown. So it might actually take a literal minute or something to actually stop it. But just know that it did actually get your request and it is working on it. So I just need to work on the language of the user interface to make that more apparent. But yeah, there's a big red stop button for you to say, nope, 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 I don't want to do this, right? So stopping traversal really isn't a big major thing. It's mainly the copy phase that you might want to be iffy about because then you're actually moving files around and creating folders. That might be the only time where you're like, oh, I really want to stop it. But you could want to stop traversal if maybe, I remember one time I had to do a migration project for a client, and this is a true story. I was running it on my laptop at work, and I had to go home for the day because it was like 6 o'clock, and I didn't want to stay at work for like 12 hours for this script to run. So I had to like stop it and then, close up the laptop and drive home and connect up to my computer again and run it again. And this seems like such a stupid story, right? Because like, why don't you just run this on like a server, and then that way you just remote into the server and run it, right? But I did eventually do that in a later edition, but at the beginning of it, when I was just trying to test the script, I was kind of on a deadline, so I just ran it locally. But it was a silly thing. It was way back when I was first starting out like in the industry, and I wasn't as well versed as I am now, but still there may be legitimate reasons why you want to stop and resume later. So I just figured I'd throw that in there because it's a real thing that happens for some people. So either way, or maybe you just found out that all of Dropbox just went down, or all of SharePoint just went down, or the server went down that you're connecting to, and so you don't want to see a bunch of failures. You want to just go ahead and stop the whole process and wait for the server to come back up, and then you can resume it, and then retry the specific ones that failed afterwards. But yeah, so there are legitimate reasons as to why you might want to do that. So anyway, okay, so let's move on here. So let's say I want to only move this one text file and I don't want to move this one. So this is going to be my test here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the script to deny access to these items, so that when the script tries, or when Sylos tries to copy this file over, it's going to fail intentionally again. So we're going to go ahead and click to start. Yep. And it says to view results, but you notice that there's nothing here because it didn't actually move anything, because there was only one item it had to move and it failed to move it anyway. So, okay, it looks like it's good at a glance, but when you go into here, you can see that it failed. And you can see that it failed here. Like, it's not a complete, like, everything's fine. Like, there are hints to show you that there are things wrong. And if you go into the list view, you can actually filter by failed items. And so you would see it there too. But anyway, so let's go ahead and mark this item to be retried. And one more thing, it seems kind of obvious, but when you do mark an item to be excluded or retry, it does update it on the other screen too as well. So if I can go back here and mark this to be failed again, and it will update here. So that is one thing that I was working on as well. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to go ahead and try to retry this. And I'm going to restore access. And now when it retries, it should be successful this time. And we do see that it did actually create that file on the other system. So there you go. Notice that you can't go back and unexclude this. This is a very specific decision that I made, and maybe when we get deeper into beta testing, I might walk back that decision, but I feel like in my mind, it just makes more sense for the software to have specific gated checkpoints. So like once you're done with traversal and you start copying things, you can't go back to traversal. And exclusion is primarily a traversal thing. So there's literally no way in the software that you could unexclude it once it's already excluded. So, I don't know. I might play around with that idea, but I do really like the idea of not being able to go back. The reason is because I think it's just confusing, like trying to go all the way back from route selection to traversal retry, review, all this crap. Like there's just the web of things that you can do is just too complicated. I think it just makes sense for the software to be more sequential in that way, but we'll see. So, anyway, I apologize. I think I have a sinus infection right now, so I apologize if I sound a little off. Um, okay. So anyway, that's what I've been doing on the UI side, and I'm gonna give you guys a light mode warning here in 3, 2, 1. Okay. You know the meme of the cat with like really blind, like the cat got blinded. Hang on. Cat white mode meme. Or light, is it not light mode? White light mode, Jesus. Yeah, the freaking you know the blinded cat meme? I always think about that every time, like flashbang. Okay, anyway. So the light mode is still a work in progress. It's not nearly as good as I want it to look. It looks very eggshelly. There's a lot of, it's just white on white on white, you know, so it just feels like it could look a lot better. So that's something, you know, either way. I do like the way the logo looks with the light mode, though. I feel like it matches the theme a little bit more, just a little bit. And I kind of like the magenta on the white. I feel like that's a good match. And the cyan, like, this is still an artifact from the dark mode because it's darker there. So these are still a little off, as you can see. But I literally just started working on the two UI things like this week. So it's still very early in development. Notice this bug, by the way, where it's like way out here and then the zoom thing is way out there. That's still a bug. It's not because it's so hard to fix. It's just because I've been focused on other things. But anyway, okay, there is one more thing I want to show you. It's actually really important. So one other thing I've been working on, I went on a bit of a side quest this week. On top of working on the user interface themes, I also went on a side quest and I started working on a terminal UI. So you can actually see, in my other terminal here, I built out a terminal UI for Sylos. So now I can actually do the exact same migration flow that I just did with you in the terminal UI. So let's go ahead and get those things ready and I will show you. Yeah. Let's get those things ready and I will show you what it looks like to do this in the terminal UI. So we can start here. This is our start button. We're going to select to start a new migration. I'm going to select the local file system and then I'm going to select the drive. So now from there, in there, once I've selected the drive and all that, I'm going into my first set of folders. So we're going to go to home and then we're going to select our first folder. And you hit the S key to select the folder. You can kind of see the legend right there. I don't really have to explain it to you very much, but yep, there we go. Oh, whoops, I selected the wrong one. That's good. I get to test this even further. Yep, see, now it's corrected. Okay, now we're going to click to start our discovery. Not really click, but hit enter there. And you can see now it says press V for path review. So I'm still working on the wording a little bit, but yeah. And you can see that it failed to find the item, which is what we expect because when it sets up the folder, it denies access. As you can see right here, it says access denied. So I'm going to go ahead and restore so we can test out traversal retry. And then to mark the item to be retried, there's only one item, but to mark it to be retried, you navigate over to the item with the up and down keys, and then you press the R key here, and then it says updated. It's not super like descriptive, but you can see that it changed here, and you can see in the legend that means retry. So I'm going to go ahead and restore. Oh, I already did that. Okay, sorry, my bad. So now in order to go to actually start the retry phase, we're going to go ahead and press F, and then you just press Y, and then it will run that. And you can see stop should change to V here in a second. V path review, yep. So now I'm going to do the same action that I did before, which I don't remember which one I excluded, but I think it's the second one, if I remember correctly. Okay, so now I'm going to deny access to the folder items. So now when I run this, it should fail to copy over that one. And you can see here that it did. And I'm going to mark it to be retried. Then we're going to run the restore script. And I'm going to attempt it one more time. Yeah, there you go. See? Same exact result as the graphical user interface. And this uses like such little resources. Like it's so small to do this. The actual migration engine itself, which is running on the API process, is probably going to be like way bigger. And that's only for like really big migrations. Like I'm talking like really big. Like for most of your everyday stuff, it's barely going to use any resources at all. So that's just fantastic. So, for those of you who really just don't want to have to run a browser window to run the software, I just wanted to give you that option because I know there's a lot of IT people out there, especially who are like, they want to do everything in the terminal. And I get it. This is pretty fun, to be honest. I actually had fun building this. It was a fun little side project. I really just needed something else to focus on because I've been too deep into like the heavy logic lately, and building a terminal UI was actually pretty straightforward. So that's what I've been working on. Now, the reason that I did all these retry and restore and deny things is because I wanted to show you how the retry would work. So I wanted to simulate a real failure so that you can see that you can actually go back and mark items to be retried and retry them again. It's not that you would have to literally do that for every single item like I was doing. That might not be the best example to show you, but I just wanted to give you a basic idea of generally how the retry logic works with Sylos. So anyway, so I have tested this on bigger stress tests, and it works decently well. So I don't know if I've said this since the last video, but I have been reworking the architecture of Sylos to use DuckDB primarily as the main database. And what we do now is we actually use, I'm going to close this out. I don't need this anymore. So what we do now is we actually utilize the appender API in DuckDB. So we utilize the appender API and we just do everything with appends. And DuckDB is stupidly fast. Like it is really stupidly fast with the appender API. But it still takes some time. I still need to build out the autoscaler so that we can actually scale up even faster and higher in terms of memory usage and stuff. But I forget the exact numbers, but I think I'm averaging around like 5 to 10,000 nodes per second with traversal, and probably around like 2 to 3,000 nodes per second in terms of files or folders, I think, with the copy phase. And just to put that into perspective, your average like 1 terabyte hard drive is somewhere in the scale of like 500,000 nodes or like 5 million nodes. It depends on the distribution of your file system, how many folders versus files that you have, and how big those individual files are. So for example, someone who has like a NAS server that has like a bunch of pirated movies and shows probably is going to have a lot less nodes, but each node, each individual file is going to be very, very big compared to someone who has like a document server that just has like a bunch of text files on there. So it depends on the distribution of your data, which is why that range is so large. But 5,000 nodes per second for a NAS server that has 500,000 items would basically just be 100 seconds to traverse, which is about like 2 minutes. It's a little less than 2 minutes, 1 minute and 40 seconds. So, yeah, I mean, even at the greater end of that, 10 times that amount of time is 1,000 seconds, and that's 16 minutes and 40 seconds. So even if you have a big file server that just has like a terabyte worth of tiny little text files, it still only takes you like 20 minutes to traverse it, which is not really that terrible. And to give you a little bit more of a benchmark, I would say from what I've seen with our clone, which is probably my closest, I guess, competitor in a way, I don't really see them as competitors to me because I feel like we kind of serve slightly different like intersections of the market. I think that Sylos is more used for like I want to move everything in like a single event. Like I have this project, I want to move all these items over and I want to make sure that I have very much granular control over what exactly gets moved and I have an audit trail of everything and I can snapshot my file system into a SQL table and stuff like that. Like I think that's a very different kind of workflow than someone setting up like our clone in a CI/CD pipeline or something like that, you know, or some kind of like cron job on a NAS server or something. But anyway, anyways, to move on, with our clone though, in terms of its speed, it operates in a very different algorithm and a very different way, but it's generally a lot faster than Sylos in terms of absolute pure theoretical speed. But in practice, I've noticed that our clone is not that much faster than Sylos. And that's actually a really good compliment to Sylos because Sylos is doing a lot more than our clone is in terms of like database stuff. Like our clone doesn't even have a database. It does everything as like one single stream. So I don't want to get too much into the like differences between how Sylos works versus how our clone works. I could write an entire paper on that topic because the way that our algorithms work is completely different from one another. Because we kind of have two different goals, really, or at least two different ways to achieve similar things, I guess. Um, but our clone is basically like a very lightweight streaming tool, essentially, where Sylos is doing a lot more heavy stuff on the back end. So it makes sense, you know? I mean, it's like comparing like a pickup truck to like a Prius, you know? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? So it's a different kind of thing, and that's why I feel like we're very different. But anyway, I don't want to go too deep on this tangent here, but that's where we're at so far with the project. There's still so much more to do, so I could really there's places where I could use a lot of help, and I'll just go ahead and list out some of the things that I need still to work on, and places where I could have some help on. So I still really need a lot of help in the user interface side. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not really much of a user interface guy. I mean, I think we all have our strengths and weaknesses in terms of, you know, in terms of coding and stuff. And we all have our different crafts and things that we're good at. And user interface stuff is not really my forte. I'm more of a back-end developer. I'm better at like writing scripts and building APIs and things like that. User interface stuff is not really my forte. I do enjoy it. I mean, it is can be artistic and pretty and all that, but you know, anyway, I could use some help there. If you would like to contribute your skills, it would be very beneficial to me and to yourself as well, and to the project. So, first of all, before we get too deep into all the things, I just want to say if you are interested in lending me a hand, you can head on over to chat.sylos.io and that will get you to my Discord server. It's basically just a redirect link that will link you to my Discord server for Sylos, and then you can chat with me directly and we can go over specific issues. Anywhere you want to contribute, that would be fantastic. Or you can just follow the project if you're just really interested in, you know, and you want more updates. You can just follow the project that way. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. So second thing that I could use some help on, or that I'm working on in general, is I need to build the autoscaler at some point. So that might be the next project that I work on after fixing a few more like little UI tweaks. I think I might work on the autoscaler. And basically what that entails is we need a way for Sylos to scale up and scale down automatically given reactive principles. So, for example, like rate limiting. So, the reason that we don't have like Dropbox and Google Drive and all these things right now is because we don't have any rate limiting protection. So, if if I tried to point Sylos at like Dropbox, for example, I would get rate limited out the wazoo because the software is so stupidly fast compared to their rate limits. So we need to build an autoscaler that can scale back automatically. And programming in rate limit protection to just say, sleep for X amount of time or exponential back off is not that hard. But I don't want just that. I want to be able to tweak a lot of different things. There's a lot of different little things that Sylos has that you can tweak that I want to tweak, basically. So that's kind of why the autoscaler is going to be such a big endeavor. So that's going to be probably my next major project. And I think after that, the next thing that I want to work on is building out the cloud storage support. So finally building out the structures for like Dropbox and Google Drive and SharePoint, OneDrive, Proton Drive, and a few others. And once we get all that stuff working and in tandem with the autoscaler, then I think we will finally be at a point where we can start beta testing. Or not beta testing, alpha testing, sorry. And I still need to run a whole lot more tests as well. But I think ultimately we're not that far away from doing a lot of alpha testing. So that's really exciting stuff, guys. That's really, really exciting. We're actually very close. We're very, very close. Because I think building out the autoscaler is probably only going to take me 2 weeks to get all that built out. Because I need to do a whole lot of testing, and it's going to be a little bit more complicated because I have to build out a lot more stuff for Spectra and things like that. So I don't know. It might take me a little bit longer than 2 weeks. But in theory, it would take me 2 weeks. Probably a little longer. I don't know. Maybe a month at the most. And then the cloud storage support, once we build out one of them, it's pretty easy to build the rest out because they all pretty much follow the same format. So once we build the scaffolding for one of them, it's basically like I can pretty much vibe code the rest of it because it's like I can just tell Cursor, like, hey, here's the thing for Dropbox. Now build the thing for OneDrive. Now build the thing for Google Drive. And it's like all the same like format and structure, basically. There's just a few caveats to each one, but it's not really that terribly complicated. So anyways, yeah, should be pretty straightforward. So I'm looking forward to that. But if you want to help me though, I could really use some help on the cloud storage front because that's work that's very easily parallelizable. Like I can work on one cloud storage thing and you can work on the other. Like I can work on building OneDrive support and you can work on building Google Drive or something. Like there's ways that we could split that work up and get it done a lot faster. Once I or someone else builds the first one, then we can use that as the template format to build the rest of them. So that way we can all work in parallel and get it done together. So that would be awesome. And then also we need testers. So we need people that are going to test the software and see how they like it and see what they think about it. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to get this done. Like I said, I think we're about 1 to 2 months out from being able to do alpha testing, but we're very close. We're so much closer than where we started. So that's really exciting. It's really, really exciting. Anyways, so I was going to say something and I don't remember what it was. Or 1 to 2 months. Oh, yeah. I have a couple job interviews coming up. So I'm going to be pretty busy for the next few days. Well, tomorrow's Friday, so really just busy tomorrow, and then busy Monday and maybe Monday onwards. Because I have 4 different companies trying to give me interviews right now, and it's a bit of a mess. So I got a lot of work to do. I probably shouldn't be recording this. I probably should be working on job preparation stuff, but I wanted to give an update on this because I have been putting in a lot of work on this recently, so fingers crossed on the job stuff, I guess, but hopefully we'll get hired on at a company that isn't completely toxic and horrible. We'll see. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I'm glad I could record this for you guys. If you want to stay up to date on how the software is going, check out the website here at sylos.io. And you can go to the Codeberg organization page And you can follow the discussions and issues. There's a section I have in here in the issues section where you can look at product updates, general discussions, active issues, and roadmap if you want to collaborate on the project. You can read my rambling in the dev blog if you want, whatever you want to do. Or you can join the Discord server at chat.sylos.io and you can chat with me directly and all that. So, yeah, either way. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you next time whenever I see you. Okay. Bye.